Hello and welcome back, Cozy Club. It's that time again to carry on the legacy and rank every single character within Disney Sorcerer's Arena. Guys, I want to thank you. It has now been over a year since I've started this channel, and the Cozy Club community has formed together both here on YouTube and on Twitch, guys. I'm looking forward to year 2, and we're going to go ahead and kick it off again by ranking all of the characters from F tier all the way up to S tier. Now, we are going to be talking about a lot of these characters today, but if you have any questions about the characters today, you can do one of 3 things. Now, first of all, you can go ahead, check out the Excel sheet in the description to see how these characters were ranked. Also, today's graphics will all be in my Discord. I'll put a link to that as well. And then if you have any additional questions about the characters on this tier list, or just about a character that you like, feel free to stop by over at my Twitch channel located right here, and you can come by, have a great time. We've been playing Kingdom Hearts, Disney Sorcerer's Arena, all types of great fun, but we've got to get to it. There's been a lot of changes. We reevaluated a ton of different characters, taken a lot of characters up to T8, and have tested just about everything under the sun in the raid, live PvP, club conquest, and then anything else in the game. And so I can assure you today there's gonna be some changes, some shifting that might shock you a little bit, Cozy Club, but going into year 2 of DSA, now is more of an important time than ever, with a bunch of game modes around the corner to go ahead and see where these characters rank. And this is going to be a great option to get to our next 2 big videos, the free-to-play farming guide that we are going to update, as well as the full team guide, because we're going to have to know what teams can beat these meta teams as we get more of these game modes. If you guys don't want to miss out on any of those videos, go ahead and press that red subscribe button down below, as less than 50% of you guys watching this are subscribed. It helps support the channel a ton. And without further ado, let's jump into today's video. All right, Cozy Club, where you guys know the drill here. As always, we're going to be ranking them from F tier all the way up to the S tier, being the best possible units. They're also going to be ranked individually within the tiers, so the ones furthest up to the left or furthest to the left are going to be the best character in the tier, and the ones furthest to the right are going to be the worst in the tier. So let's go ahead. Let's start out with the tier that doesn't deserve a lot of our time. I like to call it Mr. Walt Disney's trash can, garbage can, whatever you want to call it. It's the worst character in the game and the worst characters in the game. And this used to be called the Emperor's New Groove tier, but we've got a little bit of shifting, and we've got some newcomers in the tier as things have started to shift around a little bit. Now, we've got the new bottom of the barrel. You guys are looking at it right here, and the worst character in the game, Crunk, says move on over, because Frozone is going to be taking over that spot as the worst character right now within DSA, followed by Hopper, Jangles, and Kronk. These characters, they're not going to really do much for you. Not in CC, not in Raid, and not in PvP. They are not even worth the time of this video to talk about. Hopefully, we do get an Emperor's New Groove update or refresh or something to take them out of it. But with a wild refresh, Hopper had his chance. It's not looking great there outside of his big purge. And Jangles, he's complete trash. Half the people playing this game don't even know what movie he's from, let's be real. All right, now time for the D tier, and this is going to deserve a little bit more time than that F tier. Still not great characters, but we'll go ahead and touch on a few of them. As you guys can see, Yzma rose out of the F tier with that turn meter removal, and not the worst character in the world in raids, with some healing and great TM like we talked about, but outside of that, she's not going to be great in PvP. Darkwing Duck, Gaston, and Jessie all just not cutting it to make it anything past the D tier. All these characters here are just not worth using, including some of the newest characters. Now, typically what we've seen, Cozy Club, is new characters equal pretty good, but with the Rescue Rangers, this is just not going to be the case. Now, Cozy Club, as you guys know, I didn't do a lot of Rescue Ranger content. In fact, I have just about every character up to T8. I've spent a ton of time testing these characters in every single game mode to ensure accuracy for you guys. But the Rescue Rangers, I've talked to a lot of people that have been using them a ton, and that is where we got the rankings for Chip, Dale, and Gadget. We'll get to the other two, but Dale is going to lead us here in the D tier. Just doesn't have enough to make sense for using him really anywhere outside of that Rescue Ranger squad within Club Conquest. Dale's kit was pretty much meant to sustain and provide debuffs, but it's a little lacking. Now, within raids, he does have an ability that doesn't hit the boss, so that is somewhat of a bonus, but Dale just does not do enough, especially for those high-end players that are just saying there's not a lot of use for them. Now, maybe we get a little bit more love in the Adventurers faction, but as of right now, even Raya, the ones that are in there, there's just not enough to make them viable. Maybe once we get some more game modes, we might need to use full teams, and the Adventurers have a chance, but Dale is going to lead the D tier. All right, now moving on to the C tier. If you guys noticed, we do have some movement in kind of the lower ends here. Both F, D, and C all a little bit shaken up. Checking out the C tier here, we've got Tinkerbell, Rafiki able to climb up a little bit outside of that D tier with that cleanse and stun. Randall Boggs, you've got Chip, Queen of Hearts, Lumiere, Steamboat Mickey, Cogsworth, Olaf, and Jack Sparrow. Now, all of these names on this list, none of them scream the word sexy. Jack Sparrow, his damage is super lackluster. Once a really great character, definitely has fallen. Lumiere, his damage is just not doing enough. Really, Olaf, Lumiere, and Jack, their saving grace is having charm, and even that cannot get them out of the C tier. Outside of that, you've also got people like Cogsworth, Steamboat Mickey, and Queen of Hearts, who they can just scream kind of having a beta kit altogether. Now, even though Beauty and the Beast just came out, Team Furniture is just complete garbage. There's not anything there for them. Really, Cogsworth does have a taunt. Lumiere is not going to offer a lot, and so this is where they're going to hang out. Now, Chip is going to be a little bit better than Dale. He does have a nice passive and kind of allows the Rescue Rangers to get going, but still not enough to make him any form of usable or elite. So definitely don't feel bad for missing out, honestly, on the last bunch of characters that have come out, because you're not going to be using them at this current moment in pretty much any game mode. Checking out the B tier, somewhat of the middle of the pack here. Now, right now in the meta that we're in, there's honestly a lot of viable options and a lot of great characters. So we're kind of on the lower end from B to F and the higher end from B plus all the way to S tier. Here at the B tier, we do have some movement. Anger and Mordu are located at the bottom of the tier. Mordu is a tank that is not great at the moment, rising a little bit, but still just here at the bottom of the pack of B tier. Now, yes, since the last tier list, Monterey Jack did get a refresh and he was able to escape the F tier, but not too far. He's going to land right here at the bottom of B. Really, without those Rescue Rangers, he's not going to be able to be that Baymax, that mini Baymax. But with the Rescue Rangers, he does have that auto taunt, one of two characters with it. So pretty solid when he is with the Rescue Rangers, but outside of that, this is about where he's going to rely. We also have got Aladdin, Sully, Goofy, Jack Skellington, Miss Potts, and Buzz Lightyear. Now, a lot of these characters not worth talking about all too much. I can say Miss Potts did rise a little bit with her raid viability. And then also you can say Buzz Lightyear got a touch up because Woody's getting a little bit better. But outside of that, it's tragic Aladdin is this far down. He's got the Aladdin team. I mean, just tell me this, guys, in the comments. Do you want to see these movies that we love, like Aladdin and Lion King, these iconic Disney characters, to be better? Or does our fandom matter at all and Hiro Hamada is going to stay supreme? Let me know down in the comments what you think there. But that's going to wrap us up for the B tier. Let's take it on over and we can start talking about some tunes that you're actually going to start using a little bit. Now, if you're new to this game, you're going to have plenty of access to characters from this point on. And so again, unless you're just a die-hard fan of, I don't know, Lumiere, then don't go after them. Stick to these characters up and above. Let's get to the B plus tier. Starting us out, you're going to see yourself Big Baby and Korra. Now, Korra is great for mid games, got some nice resin going on, but towards the end of the game, just does not offer enough with lackluster damage. Has some nice survivability that's going to kind of put her in the B+, but outside of that, you're not going to get use out of Korra later in the game. And the whole point of this is to make sure you're going to be using these characters for the long haul. Judy Hopps does have some great things with a 2-turn slow, followed by Sorcerer Mickey, who's kind of staying there because of his slow and turn meter removal. Sally, Ariel, and Maximus has been kind of floating here for a while. Baloo, believe it or not, he's sneaking his way up the tier list a little bit. Once at that bottom, now kind of in the middle of the pack with some nice healing and raid viability. You got him here in the middle of B+. Pluto Elastigirl's there for the damage. Bo Peep got a little bit of a bump up with the Adventurer update. Jasmine has fallen from A tier down to B+. With each and every character release and tier list, Jasmine's kind of fallen down a bit. Still not the worst tank in the game to start out with if you need something to kind of help you out, but for the most part, she's kind of the weakest link, both within the Princess faction and becoming a weak link in the Kingdom faction. Now, outside of that, we've got ourselves Prince Eric, who does have raid viability. Some of his pieces aren't working. He can't do a lot outside of that raid and throwing the ship into Ursula, so you can ignore him if you want to. And now, from this point on, we did have some changes, some falling from the A tier and some other ones rising from down below. And let's go ahead. I want to draw your attention to Pete there at the top. Now, Pete is actually going to be a pretty good, solid villain character who's going to fit in well with an Ursula lead, able to call villains to assist, give them offense up, and get a little bit of extra damage. He also has a huge hitting attack with his second ability, but he does suffer from what a lot of these characters, these legacy characters, suffer from, and that is going to be a lackluster kind of beta stat kit. So Pete and some of these other characters like Rafiki, they just have low stats. Their health kit, they cannot survive the damage that's being output by some of the best characters in the game, even though they can in turn pump out some awesome damage themselves. I'm loving Pete. He has definitely rised a bunch to the top of B+. Followed by Pete, you have another riser, Demona, who was in the C tier, rising up with that heal block, that extension of harmful effects, all that continuous damage with Hades raining down the continuous damage teams that we're seeing. Demona got a nice bump up. All right, so we've talked about some of the newer Rescue Ranger characters, and now we are on to Gadget. Now, Gadget, she is a pretty solid character alone, does some great damage, and overall, the Rescue Rangers is a pretty fast team that can punch up somewhat decently. However, apart, they're not going to be that great, and altogether, Gadget is going to be that main damage dealer and the character that can really get them sped up and doing some nice things in PvE and Club Conquest. However, in the raid, she's okay. Maybe use her in phase 3 or 4. And altogether, not going to be a plug-and-play character. Gadget does do some nice things and really pushes the overall power of the team with some great damage and speed. But wait for her to be farmable. For the most part, you're not missing out on anything, again, unless they add some big-time adventurers. These are going to be our characters in the B+ tier. Again, if you want to talk about these in more length, come and chat with me at the Twitch channel down below. All right, it's time for that A tier, baby. But before we get to the A tier, quickly want to go ahead and say, if you need help on your roster, if you've got all these characters that you don't know what to do with, feel free to support not only the channel, but also your roster by getting a roster review and looking at all of your characters. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what characters to go for next, what teams to build for Club Conquest, the raid, and what projects you should focus on. So if you need help with your roster and want to join an awesome community, go ahead and check out the description below, and hopefully we can welcome you to the family. Let's go ahead and get to the A tier. All right, so this is the characters that are going to matter. Like I've talked about before, we're about to be hit with a ton of different game modes, and right now, all these characters really matter in PvP and the raid for the most part. And as we get more game modes, it's going to be important to find more and more teams with some intense viability. And these characters are going to be the ones that are going to make up those teams. So starting here with Jafar, he's been kind of up and down the tier list. Namari helped out the Kingdom villains a little bit, but his speed, he's amongst the slowest in the game, and that really hurts Jafar and how his entire kit works. On top of that, he doesn't have a lot of use within the raids, but his passive is great with villains under an Ursula lead. Oogie Boogie's been here a while. Syndrome has ranked up from the B tier, has climbed the ranks. He's got a powerful AoE, those crits that he throws out on the passive, and a powerful stun. That is going to go ahead and bring him up to the A tier, joining his fellow villains. You've got BBW with the big damage. Minnie has stayed about the same, and I want to welcome in the Horned King. Now, if you guys watched our raid solo attempt, you guys saw the incredible phase 2 team that Horned King has to offer. That and the Mythicals are continuing to rise up the ranks of some of the best faction within the game, and Horned King has incredible speed and synergy with the mythical allies. So he's going to go ahead and get a spot in the A tier here. In my opinion, I think Horn King is one of the most slept on characters within this game. It has just a significant viability within phase 2, able to get some strong damage out of there with not a lot of helping allies around him. All right, we're going to go and carry on here. We've got the row of tanks with Gizmo, Sergeant Calhoun, Mr. Incredible. You got Chunk, Simba, and Kristoff. That is a lot of tanks, and they're all about the same. They're all pretty good characters, both in the raid and somewhat in PvP. Now, they do depend on other characters to make them work better as tanks, like Gizmo with Tech, Calhoun with Downtown Heroes. You've got Bob with the Incredibles, Chunk, and Simba. Now, as you guys can see, you're going to be noticing the Incredibles outside of Elastigirl have fallen a little bit, and you're going to see why later on, but that is for a purpose. Chunk is a solid tank for villains. Simba's great as always. And lastly, Kristoff is maintaining a good wild or frozen tank. All right, now to the front end of the A tier. Let's check it out. We've got Robin Hood, King Triton, Scrooge, Woody, Madam Mim, Merlin, Genie, Spin, Yokai, and Phil. Now, here are the shining stars of this crew. Madam Mim is definitely way up on the list. That harmful immunity, that crazy spread that she does is well deserving of a bump up. She can shut down Hercules very well with Ursula, and her passive isn't quite working correctly. So once that passive gets working, she's going to be a lot faster. She's going to hit a lot harder. And altogether, one of my favorite characters that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, as these villains and mythicals are both getting a lot of love. Outside of that, Woody, he was shot way up to the S tier and then shot down to where he is now. His healing is great within the game, and he does have purpose within the raids and PvP. But right now, with just how the damage rolls in the game, we're going to keep him here at the top of A. Outside of that, you've got Merlin. He fell a little bit from A+, still very solid. Genie, we've got the king of the raids, Santa's favorite reindeer by far. It's going to be Spin, located at the top of A. He is a 10 out of 10 in raids. If you are a raid lover, we're going to be talking about it in the free-to-play farming guide. You've got to go after Spin. He's absolutely phenomenal. Yokai, very great PvP character. However, he does feed the living crap out of the bosses within the raid, so that's going to knock him down a little bit. But pair him up with Dr. Faciliate, and you're looking at a deadly duo. Now, last tier to kind of finish off the A tier is Phil. Now, Phil, let me say this. Phil has one of the best passives in the game, and I don't think we have seen the end of Phil. I think once we get whatever's next for the mythical faction, Phil is going to be at the top of A, but I expect Phil for sure, and maybe Hermes to rise as we get more characters. We're on to the biggest tier yet, and that is the A+ tier. As you guys notice, there is a plethora of characters on this row, guys. A lot of different characters for the A+ tier and a lot to talk about. Now, let me tell you, this is a good thing because that means there's a ton of characters that are pretty viable right now in all game modes, and so a top-heavy meta is not a bad thing. In fact, that just means more options for you guys to pick from. Let's look at the A+ tier, starting on the right side of Davy Jones, who honestly barely made the A+ tier. Solid character, good damage. You're not seeing him a ton, and that's because there's just better options out there. Daisy Duck has been great as always. Shere Khan has finally risen up the ranks. He's kind of that mini Zerg that can punch out a big turn 1 damage with 6 different hits, ranging up to almost above 10k damage, followed by continuous damage. Very strong Tiger, loving Shere Khan. He's only going to get better as more wilds come out. So yes, altogether the princesses have gone down, but Jasmine and Mulan can have some great synergy. Mulan assisting all the Kingdom heroes is great, and again, Kingdom faction, we've talked about this a lot, but it just seems to be the faction that is going to keep on growing. And so you can safely invest in Kingdom, but just know at the moment, they're not going to be top meta characters. And Raya is unfortunately one that I thought was going to be ranked a little bit higher. Right now, outside of the Oceanic faction, she's fitting in nicely with Moana and bumping up some Barley Bombs, but with the Adventurer faction, Raya is just, she doesn't have enough support around her, and that's going to go ahead and put someone with some really great stats and honestly an extremely hard character to unlock kind of at the bottom of A at the moment. Now, we might get some more Adventurer factions where we haven't really seen it. Heck, It could come out right after this video. I don't know. But as of right now, this is where we're going to pop Raya at the end of the A tier. We had some risers in the A+ like Dr. F, some fallers from the top like Sean Yu, but Namari will be coming in right here at a pretty solid position. Namari, when paired up with the villain or the Kingdom faction, is a perfect character to be that assassin to finish off those big damage dealers, and she is absolutely just an incredibly fun character to use, who I think is going to get better and better, and definitely is going to have a very unique role as the game progresses as that finisher of a character. Now, I'm hoping we see more diversity in characters like Bubbles. I hope that we get more characters for tactics. I hope we get more pre-taunters like Baymax and a little bit of Monterey Jack. But Namari, maybe we get some more assassins. Namari is a pretty sick character. Namari is followed by Merida, Megara, Anna, Pegasus, and Ian, all very solid characters. Papa Gantu's been doing great with the Oceanic factions on the rise, as well as Ursula becoming available to more and more players. Now, if you guys know, of course, Hero and all of them are great, but Pocahontas has been a leadership ability I've invested a ton into. I've tried every single team under the sun. We've got an awesome spotlight on her if you guys want to check that up above. But Pocahontas offers something a little bit different, some of the best heals in the game, and definitely one of the best cleansers. Love Pocahontas as a plug and play character, but also a great leader if you want to go that route. Poca, very solid character. Barley and Maui are about right where they've been for the last couple of tier lists, both very solid characters, but I want to turn your attention to Miguel. Let's talk about Miguel and why he continues to be better and better with these tier lists. Now, first of all, with all these Hercules characters, since the last list that we did, we haven't had a lot of time to test whenever that list came out. Miguel, though, when paired up with Megara, Pegasus, Hercules, even Pain and Panic, is offering an incredible leadership ability and is a great defensive leader to go ahead and put in Sorcerer Tournament or Club Conquest. He just seems to continue to revive characters more on defense. It might be an illusion, but either way, he's able to pump up the speed for all mythical characters, has great cleanses, great healing, and good buffs to give to his teammates. All right, moving up above, we've got Fred, Donald Duck, and the Mother Knows Best. And let me tell you, Mother Gothel, her control, she's one of those characters that I can just see continuing to rise as the game progresses. One of my favorite who got even more of a bump up because of Namari's entrance into the game. Love Mother Gothel. Next time she comes around, you won't be disappointed in getting her if you do focus on the villain faction or the Kingdom faction, but she's a great plug and play character no matter what faction you like to rock. Okay, next up we've got Belle, who did fall from the S tier. Belle is great. She's phenomenal. She was kind of better in the metas before the one we are currently in. Still, obviously, very solid under Beast. She can call any character to assist. She's great in the raid. She's got good cleansing, but she's going to end up right around here in the A+ tier. We've got Honey Lemon, a part of the best raid team. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out the video up above. Very solid character, and with Beast kind of balancing out, she's fitting a bit more into the meta, the less shakens that are out there. All right, we've got ourselves the Toxic Sheriff, whose passive continues to survive in the game. He's insane for a free-to-play investment. Really a one-character nuker who can continue to lay on some massive damage. Whether it's Hercules or Baymax, it really doesn't matter what comes his way. Sheriff, he doesn't care. He's the Honey Badger. Love Sheriff of Nottingham. We have Pain and Panic and Moana, and both of them were this close, Cozy Club. This close of making the S tier. Pain and Panic, Stasis, it continues to be the best counter to everything in the game. They're elite with villains, and Moana is one of the best raid characters in the game. Got a big buff from Raya, calling her to assist all the time, speeding her up altogether. I mean, she's capable of hitting 50k slaps with that paddle and wipe out completely enemies with that destruction wave. Love Moana. Let me know. She's one I've been thinking about a spotlight. Let me know if you want to see it by liking today's video. Whew. We've gone through a ton. There's over 100+ characters in the game, and we are down to the final, the best characters, the S tier. Let's get to it and jump on in, starting off with the bottom of S tier. And surprisingly, it's gonna be Dash. Now, love Dash. He's an incredible character that does so much within the game. We just did a killer spotlight on him as well, but he's fallen off a bit, and that's because of the Hercules meta right now. Between Stitch, Hercules, there's just so many different characters that are able to knock off those charges. He's unable to get all that offense that he once had. Now, Dash is kind of like Zerg. They both can one-shot and destroy the whole team if not taken care of, but there is a lot of ways to kind of shut that down. So Dash is going to be that bottom of S tier. Now, followed by Dash, we do have Zerg, his counterpart. Now, let me just say this, speaking from experience, if your team's not ready for Zerg or Dash, you're done. You're gonna lose. Zerg is incredible, insanely powerful in PvP, and definitely worthy of S tier. We've got Rapunzel with the incredible heals of the debuffs in the raid. She can golden hammer the entire team, pump out some stuns, put out stuns on her basic. Very solid character who I think we're just starting to see the beginning of in both theory crafts and multiple teams. Incredible leadership for the Princess faction. Club Conquest, she's a nightmare. Very solid character. Looking at the other ones, we've got Stitch and Go-Go, who did fall a little bit with the Hercules meta that we're currently in. Elsa, still very dominant in the game. Great to get early on. Will carry you to the end game with some insane teams. You just have her and Barley, and you're pretty much going to climb your journey to the end game. Very solid character, pretty much the easiest legendary to get. Outside of that, we've got Hades, who continues to rise of his damage that he is able to pump out with the villains, with Ursula. Hades is just absolutely insane if he is not controlled. That beautiful sandwich with Pain and Panic and Hades in the middle is going to allow him to do some great damage in the raid and absolutely nuke the battlefield in PvP. Now, you might have noticed Cobra Bubbles has fallen a good amount, and that is mainly because of the hunk. Hercules has absolutely shut down Bubbles, but he's still insanely great. Obviously, he's amazing in the raid, and in PvP, he still fits into just about every team, but he's definitely going to take a few Mike Tyson hits to the face before he's able to do what he's supposed to do best because of how much turn meter he gains. Both Beast and Hercules are huge bubble counters, and it looks like the DSA team is kind of going that direction to kind of go against Bubbles and go against Dash, and this is big proof of it. So let me tell you, all of these characters are incredible. A+, S tier, they're all insane. You can use any of them, theorycraft, put them together. I do it all the time and make some fun teams, but these top 6, they are the big difference makers within the game. You've got Mickey Mouse that you always have to watch out where Mickey is. If you kill him, you can easily lose the battle, or at the very least, they're going to get their whole team healed up. You've got Beast, who is just a monster hybrid of a tank, offering huge damage and both protection for his team. Baymax and Beast both offer great things to do within the raids as well. Ursula, who's at that number 3 spot, continues to climb, and that's for so many different reasons. Number 1, she throws off the battle by taking that turn meter. Number 2, the blinds out on the field is going to mess up all these upcoming attacks. She's got great control, great damage, just absolutely incredible, and the best news is more and more people are unlocking her. And obviously the last 2 characters, Hercules and Hero Hamada, are going to stay in this spot, and they're not moving. They're not going to move until something changes. Hercules can absolutely be on a team full of like C and D tier characters alone and pretty much destroy 90% of teams out there. Hercules can just do so much on his own with the countering, with the big damage, with the insane things that he does. Hercules is a by far large amount the best character in the game, and Hero is the catch-all character. And we are done, Cozy Club. If you guys are still with me and enjoyed today's video, be sure to show that by liking down below. Leave a comment who your favorite character is currently within the game. Here is all of the characters ranked out on one big graphic that you can find in my Discord, guys. We've got a lot of fun things coming up. Until game modes come into the game, come stop by the Twitch channel. We do a bunch of different segments. We do contests for gems. If you think you know Disney knowledge, come on by. I'll test your knowledge at the Cozy Hot Seat. All right, Cozy Club, I want to thank you guys again for an awesome year 1. We're going to have a tremendous killer year 2, my friends. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, join the Cozy Club today by subscribing down below. Helps build this community more and more as we continue to grow into year 2. And as always, my friends, stay cozy.